So I used to have this really cool intro video, but when you stop paying for StreamYard after you go dark for a while, it's still there, but they're like, no, you got to pay. You got to pay.
Yeah,
So
mine still works. Mine still works. Can't get to it right now, but it does.
yeah. Well, welcome everyone. For the one person who's watching, which I think is just me over on this other screen right now. Um, Long story short, Mike and I went to Heroes Con and dug through and got a monstrous stack of books. And we wanted to have a little fun and show it off and talk about the show. But anyway, so if you're not familiar with that guy, you might have seen him on the Luther Manning channel or recently on his sellingcomics.com Instagram channel, Selling Comics, which, it's a little on the nose, man. I don't think you put enough effort into this name.
People still ask, well, what's your website called again?
Sellingcomics.com.
I had two people at Heroes Con ask me that.
Really?
What's your site again? FunkoPop.com.
Uncle Pop. Yeah. Selling old books. Slingingpaper.com. We probably just actually go on a roll of all the different funny names that we could have called a site.
Yep.
But anyhow, so Heroes Con was fun, right? Like I had a really good time. My first time going, right? Mike, is you're like what umpteenth time going?
That was your Heroes Con cherry then. Yeah, your first time.
It certainly was. Yes. So I mean, obviously, it kept to the hype, right? It was a great show. A lot of vendors, right? A lot of comic book vendors, right? Very few pop culture vendors. Almost no cosplay, right? Like the cosplayers kind of came out on Saturday, really. But it wasn't like, they didn't have costume contests and things like that, where, it was really like, hey, come and, and do all these other things at this show. It really is just a straight comic book show, which was refreshing, right? And it's not to crumb on anything else, or not that I don't appreciate, those other, areas of pop culture, but I don't always feel like it's necessary to be at a comic book show, right? So it's great, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty much, I would say it was what, like 60% comics and 40% creators, right? Like this huge artist alley that I never even went into because I was too busy digging.
Yeah. It's always been a high signal, low noise content kind of a show. I mean, you can see it in the attendance for a show that large. It's the floor space, I would say, is comparable like to C2E2,
Right.
maybe a little bit smaller than a MegaCon, but there's got to be at least 80 to 100 tables set up with comic dealers. Very, very few non-comics. I think there was like one food, that fudge candy vendor was there.
Why does the fudge thing always show up at like every con now?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone there and bought a few things. I mean, you're sitting there walking the floor for 16 hours straight. Little carbohydrates doesn't hurt.
Sugar rush.
And it's been that way. I mean, I started going back. I think it was 94 was my first year, and it's been that consistent, format ever since. And some of the vendors, they're still there. Rich Evans at Bedrock Comics was there at my very first show. It was his first show. And I want to say Harley Yee was the very first one I went to back in the mid 90s. But did you notice that they actually have panels there too?
I did not, because I never looked at the program.
Yeah, they're way over in the corner. So if you were at CGC's table, their area, and looked to your left, there was a concession in the far wall. There's a concession stand, but there's like a stage setup. That's where they have the panels.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, they're out in the open, and I don't know if they have any in the rooms elsewhere, but I know they have just a few. We're talking like 4 panels over the whole weekend.
Right.
And they basically get a bunch of creators together. There was one panel they had, which was, I think, the future of Absolute Batman, and they revealed a couple of characters. What's her name? Commissioner Gordon's daughter.
Batgirl.
She's got a new, her real name.
Barbara.
Barbara Gordon. Yeah, thank you. She was going to be a new absolute Batman character that revealed that. But yeah, only a handful of panels. Cosplayers, like you said, are basically people, just fans that dress up, walk around, mostly younger kids, and it shows in the attendance because there's maybe, I don't know, how many people would you say there were there like at the peak on Saturday if you were to count them all up? A couple thousand, maybe, if even
5,000,
that.
yeah, and I'll be honest, I mean, it like, I wasn't, I never, like I said, I never made it into Artist Alley, so I don't know how much was actually there, right? Like, how many people were
Yeah,
actually in the artist area, right? And, like, I've seen people's B-reel footage, on their recaps, and there's a lot of people, standing in lines, for the creators and everything, right? So,
yeah.
that sucks up, quite a bit of the attendance there as well.
Yeah, I didn't get a shot of it this year, but when you come in at ground level, you go down the escalator. There's a couple of windows to your right, and you can take some pictures from that point of view. I had some
Right.
from the previous years, but you get a real appreciation of how sparse attendance is when you look down. And if
That
you
was my
think about it,
thumbnail from like Saturday. Like
yeah,
like so when you
oh,
go
so
back and
you
look at my
got one.
thumbnail image, like besides the marquee and everything and us on there, but you look through all the people, that's Saturday morning, right? I
Yeah.
was like, ooh,
Which is very welcome. Having been at New York Comic Con about a dozen times and then Heroes Con, I think Saturday when because Friday, if you recall, I kept trying to make it one pass across the floor. You were asking about jumping ahead, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna hold to the plan. I bounced around the first half of Friday, but I wanted to make sure I had one complete pass to figure out where all the books were, and I did it. But Saturday, I walked through without having to stop at every booth in like probably less than an hour. I covered every single alley on Saturday a second time through. But that is nice not having that huge number of guests walking around blocking. I had a number of people that would stop like
yeah.
right in front of me and turn around. So there's
Yeah,
that,
no,
but
it was
wasn't
very
as bad.
relieving. To not
Yeah.
have, yeah, to not have, like, like constantly struggling to move between people to get into a box or anything like that. It was very open, right? And, like, I don't treat that as a reflection of it's a bad show, right? I think the fact that they promote the show the way that they do, they have the content that they actually do, right? When I say
Yeah.
content, I mean, like, predominantly, books. So it's like people got to be going there specifically for that, right? And again, I nothing against these pop culture shows, but like I'm up here in Chicago. We have C2E2 every year, and it seems to be less and less comic books every year, right? Like I'm
True.
finding less. I could do C2E2 in a single day, right? I did 3 days of
Yeah.
Hero, well, 2.5 days of HeroCon, and I can tell you that I didn't even dig. I barely dig in any boxes, right? The entire time I was there.
Yeah, here's a question I was thinking about. Assume that you have all the time in the world. You don't have to come back home for months. You can stay down there, and you have a pretty deep budget. How many more days could you have gone through looking for new books at the show
Oh
after
my
the
god.
3 or 4 days?
Yeah, I can be honest with you. They could have stretched this into a 5 day show, and I still wouldn't have made it
I
through,
could have
like,
probably
digging
spent
through every
another
booth.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have spent another week. Like you said, I didn't even touch the boxes this
Yeah,
year.
and that's not
One or
even going
two,
to Artist
maybe.
Alley. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
and I enjoy going to see the artists. I enjoy going to see what they've got, what they're putting up. Like being able to purchase original art. Like I had one commission done, but it was from an artist that was outside of Artist Alley.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very interesting to me to have not have gotten there, right? Because I spent so much time looking for books, right? And yeah, and that said, I mean, let's we can keep kicking through this, but let's get to some books. Um, I'm gonna go first because I know that like anything that I show, you're gonna put to shame, just because of the
No, no, no,
caliber,
no.
the caliber of what you pick up. Now, I think I have more volume than you did. I'll say that much.
Yeah, like I don't know what you got outside of a couple of books. I sent you a picture of the stuff. I think most of the
Right.
books that I picked up. So you have a good idea, but I
I
think I've seen only 2 or 3 of your books.
Yeah, uh I filled a carry-on, right? Like to the
Wow.
brim. To not just what I bought, but the stuff I got from you that you brought down, right? Like
Yeah.
with all that together, I filled a carry-on bag, right? Like a roller suitcase, right? So um so the first book I picked up was oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember who I got this. Oh, I got this from Aviator Comics. That's who it
Hmm.
was. And those guys, they don't have a store or anything. They're just in the area, right? And this guy just, kind of selling his personal collection, right? Kind of thing. Um, but he had a nice copy of this that I got for a good deal. So X-Men 101 First Phoenix. This is about an 8.5 copy. Um, like I personally have a 9.4, right? So this one's just this one was for resale. This one's going into the inventory, right? So nice copy of that guy. Newsstand, right? Sorry,
Wow.
because they're all newsstand at that age, right? um, and then I popped over to a friend, Andrew, Bonafide Comics, because I wanted to see him. I hadn't met him in person, right? So I just wanted to get a moment to see him and everything. And he had gotten a collection in from a gentleman, so single owner collection, right? And some of the stuff he had gotten graded was like 8.5, 9.0, 9.2, right? Like way up there on Silver Age stuff. So it was really fantastic. That Silver Surfer 4 I was telling you about, that 8.5 that I think somebody
Yeah.
snagged and put on their wall somewhere else. I think it might have been Harley, actually.
Might have been Harley.
Yeah. So I picked up a copy of Nick Fury, Agent of Shield #1, and it's a cherry copy. I mean, this is probably a 9.2 or better, which is really what I was looking for, because I mean, this is not an expensive book, right? Not by any means. But I really enjoy the Nick Fury character, and I wanted to get like all his major appearances, right? The Sergeant Fury #1, the Strange Tales 135, and then this one and #4. I wanted to get them in higher grade. Yeah, happy with that one, right? Because it's sharp copy, right? Beautiful spine, but it's gonna press out real good.
Yeah.
On your recommendation, I went and checked out Buzzard Brothers.
Yeah.
And so they had a couple books I was looking at. It was a Conan one, but I felt that the price was just too tight, for me to be able to make a deal, and from where that they were given a discount. So I put that one back and picked up this one. Get a little Mephisto action.
Nice. Yeah, I think I saw that book. I think you showed that to me. Real high grade, right?
Yeah, it's yeah. I'm guessing it's probably better than a 7. It's got like a little color loss, right there.
Okay.
But a couple wear spots, right? But like with the square bounds, right? That wear for some reason was pretty common. So I'm hoping that I hope they don't beat me up too much on it. But yeah, it should be a pretty decent grade. But I bundled it with another one. I wound up going for this guy here. Nice
Nice.
Polaris. Yeah. Which is I've always thought that this one was funny, right? Because it was like, this is not her first appearance, but technically it's her first appearance as Polaris, right? Because in the first one, she doesn't
Yeah.
have a costume, and it's just Lorna Dane, right? But they keep
Yeah.
calling it, oh, first appearance of Polaris. I'm like, well, no, it's just her, right? Like, like Alex Summers shows up in like issue 55 or 54 or something like that, but he's not Havoc
Yeah.
until 57. So, or 58. What is it?
Carol
Yeah,
Danvers.
57. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carol Danvers,
Danvers is another
exactly.
one.
Yeah.
I've been looking for a copy of 50 for a while, and every time I see the price is astronomical.
Right. Especially high grade, because you always go after the high grade
Yeah.
ones.
There was so many distractions at Hero Cons. Like I would have grabbed that X-Men 101 and the 50 if I had seen them. Assuming you got a pretty good price on those, I would have grabbed those. But there's just so many books to look at. You can't possibly take it all in.
No, yeah, it is difficult. So picked up a few raw ones, right? That's just kind of floating around, just trying to start picking up some things, right? Like I honestly wasn't even sure what I wanted to buy, right? And I wanted to kind of take in the floor, right? But like to your point, like I wound up over on, like, when you walk in, I wound up over on the left side of the room, because like I went to DT's Comics, and we worked that deal, and they bought some books from me. So I wound up just kind of on that side. Plus, I had to go and do my CGC on-site grading submission drop off. So I just kind
Yeah.
of started over there and just started working my way, across the floor. So I only got like halfway through the room on Friday.
Hmm.
But I was like, all right, well, let me go and see. I wanted to go over and see Scott at Three Keys because he helped me get, he got me the badge to get in, and he was out buying because apparently he showed a picture of his booth, and it
Yeah.
got like he got people like
Ransacked.
like calling him, going, "Hey, are you, like, do you still have this stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I want the bottom two rows." And he had to pull those off of his booth for another customer that wasn't even there. So he had to
Yeah.
go out hunting, at the back half of Friday for more inventory for his wall.
Wow.
And then I helped him out with that later. But there was a guy, there was a booth across from him that was kind of like an alleyway, right? Like they had a bigger booth like on the backside, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was mostly like toys and stuff like that. But he had, this kind of like alleyway going, and he had this on the wall, which is FF12
Okay.
and a
12.
3.0, but it's restored, right? And so it's a slight A restoration, which I thought was
Mhm.
awesome, right? Because if I recall correctly, I was just looking this up yesterday. With the A, it's like a, usually it's pencil, right? So it's not bleed through. It's not like amateur, like somebody using a pen or something like that, where it kind of bleeds through. But it's this little black strip here, right, going
Mhm.
down on the
Yeah.
spine. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to cracking this guy out. And I mean, even if I get a 2.5 back, it's worth it because I got this for
Mhm.
$200.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the shot.
The A quality can often be paint. They brush it on. So usually it
Oh yeah.
fluoresces with ultraviolet light, so you can usually see it pretty easy. And like you said, if you're lucky, you can just rub that off the top. If not, you can just gently, lift it off, and you don't have to like take any paper with it.
Yeah, that's my goal, right? Is to not have to actually take any paper off with it,
Mhm.
because it's this. There's some wear on the spine, and I don't want to really damage it. But for $200, even if it comes back a 2 or a 2.5, I'm still making money on it as a blue label.
Right, right, yeah,
So kept looking around their booth, and I was able to get this guy for a good
nice.
price. Yeah,
Whose
it's
booth
got some.
was in the one?
What's that?
Was that the one you got the FF12 in? Whose booth?
Same booth, yeah, same booth as the FF12.
Ah,
Yeah, and I came back the next day and got something else, but yeah, so this guy came up really good. It's got some scratches on it, right?
yeah.
Here, I'll show you so you can kind of see what I mean. But the nice thing is that there's no splitting, like there's a tiny little fray, like a little start of a split
Mhm.
down here at the bottom, but it's minute, but it's not like a split like like you normally see. But see if you
Yeah,
can see it. See the scratches there,
yeah.
like just across.
Yeah, another book I would have probably grabbed in a heartbeat if I saw that, because that was one of the books I had a strategy, a few books I was looking for, and definitely Silver Surfer 4 was one of them. And
Right.
that's not the grade I'm looking for, but I would have grabbed that in a second if I had
Oh
seen
yeah.
that, because there were so few Silver Surfer 4s in the room. I mean, I don't know why. It's just been very sought after as of late.
Yeah. So I totally agree. And which led the reason why I picked it up. Um, and so from there, I just kind of floated over a little bit over the next couple of aisles because it was like near closing, right? So I was just going through and found this guy, and this one had a funny little history to it. I was telling Scott at Three Keys about it. This used to be his book. He sold
Oh
it to
yeah.
Nerf Herder a couple of years
Uh-huh.
ago. So it's been on Nerf Herder's wall for a while. He had it for $200. I told him, I said 150. He's like, sure, right? Which I think probably for a two
Wow.
five still a little over. But these books, it's crazy. They're kind of up and down, like
Hmm.
in the value. Like some people put them up, super high, and people pay for it, and sometimes they're low priced. But it's in such like uncared for condition, with that spine
Hmm.
roll, that
Yeah.
it's in the old magazine case, that it won't be hard to clean it up, fix the spine roll, and definitely get a bump out of it, at least make it look a lot nicer. But I've been trying to get this 6-issue series, and finish that guy up. So
Yeah.
that was a fun
Nice.
one, fun find. Last two books. Last spot I hit on Friday had this. It's a 9.4. I'm looking for a 9.8. I don't think this one's going to upgrade, but it was a good price, and it was the higher. I don't have anything higher right now. Like I go like a 9.2, right? So I just threw a couple of bucks at it. I think it's a good hold because it's a great character that they've done nothing with,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. But yeah, I thought it was a solid pickup for the price. And then this is probably one of my favorite pickups of the show because this is going to be a personal book. Is this beautiful Russ Heath cover,
All right.
Battlefront
Yeah, you showed me
26.
that one. I saw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the Minesweeper. This is the one I was saying. Like we always joked that it looked like the guy from Band of Brothers, Spears,
Mm.
right? It just kind of had that look with his helmet down and everything. But yeah, so that was my haul for Friday. So I'll turn it over to you. You can tell us how you went through the room.
Yeah, I remember when back on that war comic. I remember the Flip Mode guys on Instagram bought that big collection, the Bobby Blue collection, a couple of years ago. There was a
Right.
lot of really nice, obscure, a lot of Russ Heath covers, and they got some crazy money because nobody had submitted most of those war books before to get graded because the value wasn't there. Only to find
Yeah.
out there was a large desire to pay premium for those things. So they had a couple of those, like, they were like 9.0s, maybe a couple of 9.2s, nothing super high grade, that were going for thousands of dollars. So one of those things to be aware of when you see those. They're not very common, especially in high
No,
grade.
yeah,
Those
I
50s.
checked the population report on that, and it's like
Yeah.
just over 100
Yep.
just on that one book. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of scouting on Thursday. I got there. I was there around 3 o'clock on Thursday. I know you came in a little bit later. Not a lot to really dig into. Guys were busy setting up, but I did kind of come up with a little strategy and grabbed a couple of books first thing Friday morning. I kind of wanted to settle and think about it because the worst thing to do is just snatch up deals on day one. And there's so many books to buy. Like I said, I would
There
have probably
are.
bought half the books you showed if I saw them.
Yeah.
I run out of money in no time, which I did like early Saturday. I ran out of money, but I did still buy a few books the rest of the week because you gave me some cash, and then the bank of Rob Griffin owed me a bunch of money too, so he paid up a little. But anyway, so yeah, so I got a couple of. I was looking for DC Bronze horror books, some specific ones, and when you come into the main hall downstairs, the main entryway, I should say, there was that vendor to the far right, and he was right on the corner of one of the main corridors. I think it was the corridor between Artist Alley and the vendor section. And he had gotten a lot of DC Bronze horror. He had like several boxes, nice quality, higher grade stuff. But on his wall, he had a bunch of the stuff that he thought was the best. So I grabbed this classic right here, the House of Mystery 195. Now this has got an early Swamp Thing prototype in it,
Yeah.
and these
Bernie
books he
Wrightson
had
cover.
were, yeah, the books that he had, yeah, Bat Out of Hell. The books he had, for the most part, were not cleaned and pressed, and I think his prices were a little bit low. As one of the dealers that actually had well under market price. Most dealers were priced at about 110, 120% of GPA on
Mm-hmm.
wall books.
Yeah.
So if you're lucky, you can negotiate down to just under GPA. But this guy, all of his stuff, he had this House of Secrets 114. This is a great. This is a great. I think this is a Bernie Wrightson cover.
Tilt that back a little bit.
I'm not looking at the name. No, it's not.
Now, I think that one's a Neil Adams. Yeah,
Yeah, it
you can
could be.
tilt it
It's
back, tilt the top back towards you a little bit.
it's a book that I haven't had before, and I don't really recognize the artist at a quick glance. But this was pretty cheap. And then the real clutch book I got, which was that Bronze DC guy. Like I told you the story when I was there, a guy walked up and he said, "I'm looking for this book." And the dealer said, "I had 3 copies. They've all sold." Well, I had this one in my hand. He hadn't quite sold it yet, but Phantom Stranger 14.
Love
And
it.
this is a real nice copy. I would say this is probably about a 9. and I probably paid like $80 for it.
Wow.
So I waited to cash out until after the other guy. Actually, I think it was somebody mentioned somebody mentioned his name. I'm gonna probably botch it here. It's RH Midwest Comics, something like that.
Even
Yeah,
better.
yeah. I knew the guy, but I didn't know that was his handle. And then,
Well,
if
yeah,
you
so
remember,
he wasn't looking for himself.
no, no, no. And then on the Bronze DC horror bandwagon here, there was one other guy. This was the guy that I don't know his name on this vendor's booth, but he was the guy that had those DC books that were really nice. And I called you over at one point on the far right side of the room, and he had early showcases. He said he had a showcase 4 and a showcase 22 that he had sold earlier, and these were all part of the same collection. But
Yeah.
these are Bernie Wrightson covers. House of Secrets 139. Actually,
Oh, the
I
pumpkin
got
covers. Yeah.
yeah, I got 2 of them here.
Oh.
Um, yeah, he had 2 copies, and I think these I probably paid. Let me go back a little bit. There we go. I think I paid like $60 each for these guys. I mean, they were stupidly underpriced. I was looking at them, and the reason why is these are really wrinkly. Nothing that you can't, press out. Again, most of these guys' prices were over GPA. They were close, but you had to use every trick in the book to
Right.
find a way to get a better deal, which in this case, the books were just had bends and dings and,
Oh, yeah.
stuff they could press out.
Yeah, so,
But,
that was, that House of Secrets 114, that's a Nick Carty cover.
okay, Nick Carty. Yeah, that's Carty. I couldn't see his name anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back to, I got about 10 more books, but back to you.
No, so is that your Friday haul? Is that all you got on Friday? No, you got more
Mine
stuff
are
on
not
Friday.
organized by day.
Oh,
I just
you're
have them
killing me.
kind of roughly grouped by genre here.
All right, well, let's go some more.
Those were mostly Friday books. I bought like 90% of these books on Friday. I ran out of steam on Saturday because I kind of like just found so many deals. Yeah, I'll do a couple more here. So this
Yeah.
guy was one of the books I'm looking for when I was down there.
Yeah, we're always
So
looking for that book.
and this was funny because I don't know again this guy's name. He had 2. This was the guy that had the spinny advertising thing, the thing that spins around and projects the name of his business on it. And the irony
Oh.
was, and this is the guy you got your Green Lantern book from.
Oh, I'd be able. You know what? Actually, hang on. I can pull that one up. Is that
So
Fanboy Collectibles or?
it had 2 words in his name. I remember looking up at his little like spinning disc thing that projected the image on it.
Yeah, there was
And
like
the irony,
there was like a couple of different dealers at that booth.
yeah.
So
The
yeah,
irony
hard to tell.
was, he was talking about how he offers cleaning and pressing services. This book wasn't cleaned and pressed, so
Well,
um,
maybe his technique needs a little maturity.
yeah, I got it for a pretty good deal, and we turned the corner, and on one of the booths that actually was facing right towards Artist Alley, you pointed out a Batman 227. The guy had like $1,300 on it, the same grade as the one that I got, and I paid like probably 400 less. So the guy I got it from,
Wow.
I think, was fairly priced. I got a little bit off, but I think with a little bit of work, I can widen that deal margin a little bit more.
Nice.
And I'll do one more Batman book here. So this guy, back to the DC Bronze horror guy, I'm
Oh
looking at
yeah.
his wall. I'm trying to kill some time because the Midwest Comics guy was there complaining about how he missed out on those Phantom Stranger 14s, and so I'm looking for anything to pass the time. I
Nice.
was in the booth, and I look on the wall and I saw this, and it's just a gorgeous copy of Batman 222, and again, very fair price. He had this like at a 9.2. I think it's at least a 9.4. I mean, it's flawless. So something I don't see that often. One of those impulsive buys to
Right.
just kind of round out the bundle with all the DC Bronze horror books I got. So,
No, that's good. That's good. Man, I'm not liking this. I'm not liking my lighting here, but it's better than nothing. All right. Okay, so Saturday, I'm like, okay, I got through half the floor. Now I got to go see the other half. So I decided I was going to start on the other half, but I remembered after my first purchase that I was going to start on the far end and work my way
Mm.
back to center, so to speak, because I didn't know what was over there.
When you say far end, do you mean the
Far
DT
right.
Comics end?
No,
Like you walk in,
Cowabunga
okay.
Comics
Yep.
end, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. B&B was on the far right wall then. Okay. So over on that side. Gotcha.
So I it was Bill's Comics. I've seen him
Yep.
before. I saw him at MegaCon. I've seen him at C2E2. He doesn't do C2E2 anymore, which is not a
Yeah.
surprise. There's a lot of people who aren't doing C2E2 anymore. Had a bunch of stuff up there. Most of it was overpriced for the grades.
Hmm.
So he just got his collection in from this elderly woman, and I don't know if he's selling them for at a commission or something like that. Is why the stuff was way overpriced. I don't know what it was, but I found this guy, and had a good price sticker on it, and he gave me a good disc. He gave me like 25% off on it, right? And it was
Hmm.
already below GPA. I think GPA on this guy was 900. He had 750 on it, and I got it for 6. And it's Fantastic Four 45, First Inhumans in an 8.5.
Nice.
Yeah, so super clean copy.
Underappreciated.
Yeah. And like I've gone through a few of these, and I'm like, I think I can upgrade some of these um just by, like a light cleaning and a press in some areas. This one
Hmm.
I didn't mark down that I thought, would go up because I think there was some defects on it that weren't just going to, improve at all. So I'm holding that one back.
Yeah. Yeah. Bill's out of Ohio.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right.
he does clean and press some of his books. I've known Bill probably for 20 years. He does a lot of shows up in my area, but he'll travel
Nice.
down to Florida and stuff.
Yeah, he's always got
Yeah,
a really
pretty
good
good guy.
inventory. I bought like some really good stuff.
Mhm.
I bought one time I bought from him it was the first appearance of Bucky O'Hare, right? I can't
Yep.
remember the name of the book that it was, right? I'm sure Jackson will school me on that one. But what I thought was great about it, it was easily a 9.4, 9.6 minimum, right? Beautiful
Mhm.
book. I didn't realize it till I got home. It's a double cover.
Wow.
I was like,
That's awesome.
oh, yeah. I'm like,
Awesome.
oh, that's rare to begin with. So I've got a good feeling it can get a 9.8 if the corners are clean. But yeah, it's
Right.
one I got to get sent in. But yeah, so I made it down around, and I'm working my way through the corner. Found this guy that just, old case. It's got some problems, but I think it can definitely upgrade. And it's always just, I mean, a book people go after, right? Spider-Man 122,
2.
Death of the
Nice.
Goblin, and I got it for $100, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, it's good. Like I think it has a potential for like a 5.5, right? It's got
Yeah.
some stress lines that break color on it, right? But it's just so dirty and and wavy. It just needs a really good press and a clean, and I think I think it'll get some good. All right, turn it back to you. I'm starting to hit some bigger stuff.
All right. So I'll see you a 122 and I'll raise you a 121.
Nice.
Um, so this was actually first thing Saturday morning pickup because I went over to DT Comics Friday morning pickup. I went to DT Comics Thursday when I got there, was chatting with them. And I'm looking at their wall, looked at some books, took a couple pictures, slept on it. And this was actually a CBCS book. And
Yeah, I
I
was gonna
think
say
the,
you
the
broke a
company,
bunch of stuff out, to save room
yeah,
on the trip because you're just gonna clean and press them and send them back out.
yeah. So basically, my strategy was this: I have a number of books that I have customers of mine looking for books, and I explained my strategy before. Is what I'll do is if someone's looking for a book, I either have my personal copy or I can find one. And then what I'll do is I'll probably buy, if I can find the book, I often keep the nicer copy, either my PC or the one that I bought, so I can upgrade in the process of finding a book for somebody else.
Right.
So this was one of those books where I got a person looking for a 121. I don't have this in my PC. I don't know if I would keep it. It's pretty easy to find and really high grade. But anyway, it was a CBCS one, and I'm like, you know what? It was the first gen CBCS too, so definitely hadn't been cleaned and pressed. And DT Comics, they gave me probably the best deals of any dealer there. So
Right. Yeah.
I grabbed
I
that.
can't talk enough about them. Those guys are really, really square on their stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw them the first time they came to Heroes Con, I think was 2016, maybe 2017. And I didn't realize it was their first year, and I talked to them, and they had a bunch of questions about. It seemed funny back then. It's like, how does this whole comic convention thing work? So, I'd chat with them every time I saw them, gave them some advice about other shows. They came out to C2E2 on my advice. They came out to Terrificon on my advice. And I was talking to Trey from DT this past weekend, and he's like, he goes, man, you gave us so much good advice. We'll give you any deal you want. And so they did pretty good on deals. I got probably 20% off most of my stuff without even asking. But yeah, they have a great selection of books, and they're easy to deal with.
Yeah,
So back at the
absolutely.
DC Bronze horror guy, when I was stuck in his booth there for a while, I bought this Spider-Man 38. They had a bunch of Spider-Man on the wall. So again, I'm stuck back there trying to avoid Midwest Comics and get away with my Phantom Stranger 14. And I look at the wall and I go, wow, there's a couple of nice books up here. This one looked like it was really high grade. There's a little bit of dust shadow on the back, but the price, oh my gosh, I think I probably paid like $40 for it.
Oh my
I would
God.
say it's about an 8.80. I couldn't pass it up. And
No,
then
yeah.
back to I'll do two more books here and then go back to you. I got maybe 10 left total. Back to that guy where you bought the Green Lantern book from. Again, I went over, I saw this book, asked him if he can give me a little bit of a discount because it was priced over GPA. And I think I got it for like 2% under GPA, knocked like $100 off. And he told me, he's like, well, I can't do a lot, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Because this book had a really big spine roll. So Spider-Man number 3. And
Oh,
I can go
beautiful.
back far enough. So this was another graded book. It was a 4 or 5 with a wicked spine roll. I think it's an easy 5, maybe a 5.5. It's
Good
got
Lord.
a little chip down here on the lower corner. Otherwise, it'd be like definitely would be a 5.5. So I didn't complain because this book is really hard to find if it's not beat to hell. So I was
Oh,
happy to get that.
100%. Yeah. No, that one, like all the early Spider-Mans, right, are usually beat
Yeah,
up.
yeah. That was one of the books on my list I was looking for. I got a person who's been bugging me for one of those for a while. And then basically every day, I was hanging out over at Darren Ford's booth, Ditko Club. And so we were talking Thursday, and he never got his books put up Thursday. So I came back first thing Friday, and I saw a couple of books, grabbed those. This was one of them, a Spider-Man 129. And he instantly said, he goes, oh, I wanted to press that because it was a graded copy of it. And he's like, I can't do much of a discount. I think it's got a potential to bump up. And I said, that's why I grabbed it, Darren. I'll take it. So it was a 7.0. I think it's an easy 8. He still gave me a little bit off. I said, that's fine. I understand. That was one of the true cases where
Right.
you can definitely make a little bit on the book if you clean and press it. Most of these guys will say it's unpressed, but there's no chance for a grade bump. But this one definitely does. So
Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't.
yep.
Yeah. So Stray Flexen had a booth there, but Yaniv wasn't actually at the show. He's recently had a little one, so he's tied up at the moment. But I was going through. I didn't see anything on the wall that was like I really wanted. He had a Detective Comics 359, but it was a 7.0, and I'm looking for an 8.5. So it wasn't really where I was at. But he did have this in an 8.5, and I think I'm pretty certain that this one's got some space, but it's Avengers, was it 28? Nice. Yeah, Avengers 28. First Giant Man as Goliath, and first Collector.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked it. And again, gave me a little bit of a deal on it, right? I worked a little magic. So it's pretty good. And then kind of in that same vein, so this one was fun. There's a guy, he was on he was to the right side of the room, you know, in the back line, closer to the, or actually kind of like right off the main drag, um, the main row before you get, you know, back towards where it splits between Artist Alley
Mhm.
and everything. And
Yeah.
so this one's got a cracked case. And he was like, "Oh yeah," he's like, he had 300 on it. He goes, "Yeah, probably 250 because it's got a cracked case." And I was like, "Oh really?" And I started looking it up, and he starts going, "Well, maybe not. I think, you know, I don't really don't want to sell it. I think I'm underwater on this book, and you know, and blah blah blah." Like he's just kind of peeling back, and I'm like, "All right." Well, I wound up getting 20 bucks off apparently, just to be able to, you know, fix the crack, which obviously a reholder is a little bit more than that after shipping and all
That's
that. But
shipping. Yeah.
yeah, so Avengers number 9. It's a 6.5.
Nice.
It's got this
Nice.
kind of like, it's got a light crease, like pretty long right through here. I'm not sure it'll go up, but if I'm sending it in for a reholder, I might as well try again. You know,
Mhm.
worst case scenario, I can get a, you know, I can get a 7.0, or you know, or it just stays as a 6.5 and it's in a better holder. But I've always had beater copies of this, right? Like I've never like found a
Yeah.
nice copy of it. Of course, I haven't really gone
Mhm.
after one, but like finding one just in the wild, you know, I thought was great. But it's got the, you know, it's got this big old crack in the case up top. But it's like, who'd want to keep
Wow.
this case anyway? I mean, this thing's
Sure.
like, you know, flimsy. It, you know, it can talk to you, right?
It's a hand puppet.
It is. um,
Senior
but
Wences.
yes, yeah. It's okay, it's okay. It's all right, it's all right.
All right.
Um, so where I got that Fantastic Four 12, that restored 3.0 for like for on the cheap.
Yeah.
Um, they had some other nicer books. They had an Avengers 1, and they had a Journey to Mystery 83. Both of them not great, right? But this one was looking pretty nice. We agreed that it was about a 5.0. And I know that after a little bit of love, it'll probably be a 6. Um, and I got him to go. Oh my god! So I got, what was it, 500 off of this guy? Uh,
Mhm. Wow.
so it's a really nice copy of Avengers number 4. So I would say
Wow.
of the deals that I made, I think this was the best deal I got at the
Yeah.
show, right? Because I
You
got, you know,
got like
you look up what a
30%
5.0.
off.
What's that?
You got more than 30% off of that if you knocked over. I mean, it depends what his original price was over GPA, but
What
it's a good
what
discount.
what was this? Yeah, it was just under 30%. Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, it's you know, pretty white, right? And just I mean, slight discoloration on it, right, which is common, you know, on this book. But I thought it was a fantastic
Yeah.
copy, and you know, and it's got those bundling ridges, right, from like where the
Yeah.
where they were bundled up and thrown off
Yeah.
the
It was
truck.
strapped and strung over. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that those have a tendency to press out pretty easily,
Mhm.
you know, given the right efforts, and there was some stuff on the back that could clean off. But yeah, we both were like, you know, like I'm like, this is, you know, this is a 5. He goes, I agree. He goes, well, make me an offer, and I looked it up and I thought about it, and I go 12, you know, and he had 1750 on it, right? Which was just way over what, you know, the actual value of it was. And he goes, I had 1250, so we can do 1250. And I was like, sold.
Like,
I'll be right back. I got to go make some money.
yeah. Behind the dumpster.
Yeah, easy, easy.
Patrick and Clover. Well,
Uh,
they were actually doing, you can donate blood. They were actually giving you, what was that? You got a gift card, I think, for 25 bucks.
really?
So you could have like, gave a couple quarts and made a couple of $100 a
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah. Anything under a pint, you're good to go. And then we wound up at Harley Yee's booth. And
Yeah.
well, actually, you know, I'll dial back. So, in order to put together the money for that book, I had to go over to Three Keys, and I turned over those Schomburgs that I had,
Yeah.
and I got a fair price on them, with a couple other books, right? So he bought those out for me. So I go, okay, how about that book? And he goes, yeah, I can do that book and this much money. I go, how about you pay me that much and you give me 200 off on that guy? He goes, all right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
picked up a House of Secrets 92 in a 5
Oh,
5.
you got that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one of the books I was looking for. I just couldn't find a good enough deal. There's no good deals on that book.
There's no good deals. I mean, like
It's too good.
he had it at GPA. I got a little bit off of it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna hold it a little bit, right? I'm not gonna sell it right away. But yeah, yeah, that book was definitely the star of the show. Now there was another booth that had a raw one that I sent you pictures of,
Yeah,
and
I
it
know
it
that guy.
it
Yeah.
had it had a damn near sub crease down the front of it. Uh,
Yep.
it wasn't as defined as a subscription crease, but it was like right down the center. And they wanted what did I say, like 900 for it or something? No, they wanted 1600 for it.
16. Yeah,
And I go,
1600.
they're like, yeah, like everybody's been looking at that book today. I go, well, if you dropped it about half price, I think it would probably sell. I said, you're
Yeah.
quite a bit over market on this guy. I mean, it's a great book, no doubt, but that sub crease, I mean, we're talking like a 4.45, at best, with that big old crease down the center.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that
it
was
was.
the vendor that was pretty close to DT Comics. They're actually facing DT Comics
Yeah,
booth, I believe.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that book. Yeah, right on they put it right on the end, so they knew what they had. It's one of those dealers where they get the high attraction books. They put them on the edge of their display and just hoping for somebody to bite on those. But yeah, that was way overpriced. Oh my God,
right.
stupidly overpriced.
It was a little bit, yeah. And my last pickup before before we went to go get my on-site grading was this
Mhm.
guy. And I've been looking for a copy of it through the whole show, right? Something in a nice grade. And I compromised on this one because I think I can get it to a nice grade, because it definitely has a lot of flaws that are pressable, but it does have some, like, some stuff on the cover that's going to keep it mid grade. But Tales to Astonish 44,
Yeah, nice.
really nice copy, right? Old case, old label. It's this right here that's gonna, keep it up, from going above a 6.5, I think. But
Mm.
I think everything else is pressable enough that it'll come out pretty nice. But yeah, so I was glad to finally get a nice copy of that.
Another book I would have grabbed in a heartbeat if I saw that. It's on my B list.
Oh yeah, House of Secrets is on the A list. That one's on the B list.
Yes. Yeah, I got two guys bugging me for that Tales of Suspense 44. Just
Yeah.
haven't found the right copy yet.
Well, I can tell you the other one that I got back. It presents like an 8,
Yeah.
but it's a 4.5.
Except for the back cover that's missing.
Yeah, well, it's not missing the whole back cover, just a
Yeah,
couple of
just
pieces.
missing.
All right, I'll flip it to you.
All
I've only
right.
got 1, 2, 3, 4 left,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah.
I think I've got like 6, 7 here. I'll do like half of these here. So yeah, so this was a book. My next book was one that I took a look at a few times, and oh my God, who was this guy? Oh, you know what? I think I misspoke earlier. I think the guy that I bought the Spider-Man 3 from, this was the same guy. And you'll know when I show you the book. But I went back and finally decided to pull the trigger. I told myself, if the book is still there, I'll pick it up, because he was asking, 110% of GPA, and I got him to come down to just GPA. And it was this book here, the Daredevil #1.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and this copy was real nice. It was in the old case. Um, it was a 6.5, but there's honestly nothing wrong with it. There's a really tiny chip out of the, if I can see it here, there's a little chip right along this right edge. Just a couple of really faint stress marks on the spine. It's not white, but it's a little off cream white. So it's really nice. I think this has got all the attributes of a 7.0, and I sold my 7.0 recently looking for an upgrade. So I was on the hunt for a nice looking potential 7 or better. So I'm hopeful this gets the grade bump, and possibly even it may get a 7.5. So that's going to be one of my keeper books.
Hmm.
And back to Darren Ford Ditko Club. When I picked up that Spider-Man 129, I also grabbed this Hulk #3. He had a bunch of books on the wall that I just snagged. Mid grade. Actually, no, this is a low grade copy. I'm not sure why. I don't see Oh, you know what? I know what it is. So it has a bunch of Marvel tears along the right
Yeah.
edge that somebody put tape on. There's 6 pieces of tape on the
Oh my god.
inside,
That's
and
overkill.
CGC gave it a 3.5. I think it's more like a 5. I've seen many copies with those Marvel chipping. It's the pre-chipping; they're not pieces missing. But I'm
Right.
going to remove the tape, and probably it's going to wind up in that 4 to 5 range. And then I also grabbed this from Darren Ford, a Hulk #6.
Oh, I remember that
These
one,
Hulks
yeah.
are getting really hard to find. This one was a mid-grade copy, like a 6, and he gave me a pretty good discount on both the Hulks. Like I said, he didn't want to discount the 129 Spider-Man that much, but he was like, worth the deal on the other 2
I'll
books.
bundle those.
And then back to DT Comics. So on Thursday, I took a picture of a bunch of books. The Spider-Man 121 was one of them. This book I took a picture of, did a little research because it was restored and it was an old
Mm,
case. And I mentioned this, the way that CGC has their database set up for their grades is a little interesting. If you know anything about relational databases, it appears to have a table that has the main details for the comic, the title, the publisher, issue number. They have another table that has the graders notes they link to, which is why the notes don't appear until they complete that link, or when they ship
mm,
the books,
yeah.
they'll link the tables together. So you can't see the notes, or the
Oh, so
grade
this
for that
was
matter.
you're saying that this was something that was probably on-site graded, and then the notes didn't show up yet?
No, 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 no. This is just how I think their database is
Mm,
created. They have like 5 different tables,
yeah.
and until they link the tables, you don't see
Mhm.
the graders notes, you don't see the grades, all of that stuff until they ship. They'll update their your order with that information, and I believe they have a separate table for restoration notes, and that link to the restoration notes broke a couple of years ago. Matt
Mm,
Nelson was on record saying they were going to fix that recently, which they haven't. But that aside, I think their database is a little bit different, because this was a second generation CGC case, and I could see the restoration notes. So I don't know if they like used to have everything in one big table and they split it apart later for their newer cases. But anyway, I saw the notes and I had to have this book, Hulk 181. I got it from DT Comics, and the only restoration I removed it was right here
oh, yeah, on the K? Yeah.
in the letter K. I've already removed it. That little black part. That was it. That was all the restoration. So I got a good price on this book. It was all wavy because it wasn't pressed previously. It was a 5.5 restored. I think it's a 6 blue label
Yeah.
now. So that was a huge win. And then I'll do these 2 more books together. Back on that guy that had the showcase and DC books, the nice ones. He
Oh,
had
yeah.
this Tomb of Dracula. Real nice copy. It's a mid-grade copy, really cheap. I'm not sure why. I think it's just because the back was dirty. He graded it fairly, but I think it's got potential to go up to maybe, it's like a 6 in the current state, probably a 7 once I clean it up. And the one book that I sweated over the whole weekend, you beat me to the punch, but I finally pulled the trigger, and I got the guy on Sunday to come down to just like 110% of GPA.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
telling me he can sell the book in a heartbeat. Obviously, that's why he had it all week, because it was going to sell in a heartbeat. But it did have white pages, and that was this Silver Surfer #4. So I was
Nice.
on the hunt. I was on the
That is
hunt for
neat.
this all weekend. Ironically, Harley E had the exact same grade, page quality, and price. So both
Mhm.
Harley and this guy had it for 2,000, which GPA is 1,800. But I'm trying to get a copy for my personal collection to upgrade. I'm going to sell off my under copy now. But
Right.
I got it for like 19. The guy wasn't willing to go any lower, so I only paid 105% of
Yeah.
GPA.
Yeah, that's the tough thing, right? Like my copy up here, right? It's a 6.0 with white pages, and it's a 6.0 because it's got the spine split. Otherwise, it's just a gorgeous copy. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, just getting a nice copy of that. I mean, it's always something that people want to do.
yeah.
That
So
book
I
never
told
has
you,
done.
I told you the trick I'm going to do with this book here is, even though I paid like $100 over GPA, it's going to go into my PC. And the
Mhm.
guy that wants my personal copy, he wants it bad enough that I'm not going to give him a big discount. So essentially, I can sell my current one close to GPA, and this is an upgrade for like $200 to an 8.5
Oh yeah,
one page from an
yeah,
8.0 that I've got right now. So it
yeah,
works out.
absolutely. So speaking of that guy that had the showcases, I got the
Oh,
showcase.
I didn't realize you bought that book. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
That's the first time.
I grabbed this one and another one. So my copy of this is just a beater.
Yeah,
This one
tough to find.
it's got a little bit of a fade to it, right? The colors aren't as, quite as solid, right? So like that's something that like I'll still look to find a nicer copy. Like this is one of those ones that like, I'll do this book in a 6.5, right? Like these old these old DC first appearances, right? Because I mean, these are what, like early 60s, late 50s in most of these, right? In the
Yeah,
earlier,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so I mean, I don't mind having like a 6.5 on these, because they
Yeah.
are hard to get, in a higher grade. But I grabbed that guy, and I grabbed this one as well,
Oh,
Brave and the Bold 54, because
yeah.
I sold my copy not last C2E2, but the year before when you were out, uh,
Hmm.
to Paulie up in out of New York, and
Yeah.
I hadn't gotten another copy back. This one's got some weird staining on it. Like I don't know if I'm going to be able to remove it or not. I'm hoping I can, but
Yeah.
if not, right, it's not that big a deal. I can work it out. Um, but yeah, at least it'll be a nicer presenting copy, and then most of the stainings on the back cover. I mean, there's a little bit right there, right, and I think it's just more smudgy. But I haven't had
Mhm.
time to go to work on it yet. But yeah, I think it'll do well.
Nice.
Um, last two book, well, last two books, and then I'll wrap with a couple other pieces that I got. Um, uh, so I had I caught like an Instagram live show with the Fish Brothers from Superworld. They are on their own now, called Robo Picto, and
Mhm.
I spotted one that I really liked, and I told him, I said, "Hey, hold on to that formula. We'll make a deal at Heroes." So I wound up trading a an Amazing Spider-Man 194 in like a VF near mint 90
Yeah.
with some cash, and got this guy. Another one that I
Yeah.
just always have a beater copy of. So I got a nice 7.0 copy of this, and I think it's got some room. Like I'm not sure. I got to give it a real good once over on it. It's got some foxing on it on the cover. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that I can get it. I can press it up a little bit, but I think it's got room. If not, I'm still solid with a 7.0 if I decide not to do anything with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a nice copy, real clean, bright, good colors. First Purple Man,
Yeah.
and then so this is the one I went back to the well. All right, so these three books behind me here, these are all three books that I had gotten from the on-site grading with a few others, and a couple of them didn't come back uh, quite where I wanted them to be. And one of them I had actually just bought an improved copy for an upper grade copy from you. So it was that Tales of Suspense
Oh, right. Right.
57, right? So I bought
57.
an 8.0 from you. So I sold the 7.5 along with an Amazing Spider-Man annual one that didn't quite come back well. But you and I had spotted this, and we were already talking about this because you had just gotten back a copy that you had cracked out and pressed and resent in, but it's and you'd alluded to this one earlier, but it's Green Lantern 7. It's a
Yeah.
7.5 copy of the first appearance of Sinestro. And I mean, I'm a big Green Lantern fan to begin with, but like this thing has so many fixable errors to it that
Hmm.
I really think that it's got a shot at an 8.0 or an 8.5. It's got a slight tear right here. Let's see if we can get it. Yeah, right there. It's got a slight tear, and I've had
Yeah.
8.0s with longer tears than that. So I
Mhm.
think, like I said, I think I've got a solid chance at an 8.0 and an outside chance at an 8.5 once this thing gets pressed out. And that's just a home run book, right? It was, what do we talk about? It's like this was, I I got this for 11, and I think the 8.5 is over 3,000, something
Close
like
to
that.
4,000. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
because my copy, I've got an 8.5 white paged copy right now. I just got back from CGC. That was a 7.5 when I
yeah,
got it.
right,
And what you could do is check to see how the wrap is, because with mine, the wrap was just a little bit off, so I adjusted it, and all the little bit of color flakes along the spine moved from the front to the edge, which made it difficult to see. So eye appeal improved. And then I
right.
gave it a press, but yeah, I went from a 7.5 to an 8.5 on mine.
Yeah, this has got a great spine too, so I'm not too worried on that end. Um, and then came back. So that was the last book I bought on Saturday. Came back on Sunday with my wife to pick up a commission. I'll show the commission here in a second, but hit the Fish
Oh,
Brothers booth again, and got this. This is the only one that actually still has a price tag on it, but it's a nice clean copy of Amazing Spider-Man 135, second Punisher plus origin story, and this one's definitely a VF, and I think it's got room to go. X-Men 95. So third team appearance of the new X-Men and the death of Thunderbird. So that was nice. And then so this is the commission. So my wife has this idea, because we have large wall space in the bedroom. And she's been like trying to come up with some kind of art to put up there. And she was like, well, what if we did like on, either side of the television? On my side, we do Wonder Woman. On your side, we do Batman. I was like, I think that's a great idea. So she wants it in pencil and ink. I'm like, yeah. I'm going to complain, right? Like, that's a terrible idea, honey. No, why would we ever do that?
yeah.
So she wanted just something nice and classy. But she wasn't sure like which artist to use. So I talked her into Greg Land for,
Yes.
for the, uh, for the
Oh,
Wonder
yeah.
Woman piece. And let's see. That's
Oh,
how
he
that
was
came out.
there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, just
Yeah,
a
because
tremendous piece.
we were talking to Greg. I think, yeah, it was C2E2 last year. We went over, looked at his
Right. Yeah.
portfolio. And
I bought a couple of
I was
pages from
impressed.
him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
No, he's yeah, super, super good dude. And I mean his art
Yeah,
is like I've always just loved his art from the Birds of Prey stuff, the X-Men run that he
yeah.
did.
Oh, it's
I think he's
excellent.
just a very underappreciated artist who's had a bad rap for some stuff, which I thought was just kind of bullshit and bogus. But yeah, the guy's just trying like this is, he did this, sketched it out and inked it like at the show. So like
Wow.
if anybody has any questions about his capability, I can tell you, the man is a hell of an artist.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
So how did you finish out?
Okay, so I think I've got one, two, three, four. I got 6 books, but a couple are pairs. So I went rooting around behind Harley Yee's booth and behind his table there, looking for some good stuff. And I found 2 books. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep one and sell the other, but I couldn't pass them up. And it's Planet Comics. So this is Planet
Oh,
Comics number 22,
that's
and
right.
nice, real nice mid to higher grade copy. I have a copy of this already. I'm not sure if this is going to be an upgrade to mine.
Mm-hmm.
I have a pretty solid run of Planet Comics right now, so I got a few upgrades and a few missing ones. And then I saw this one, Planet
Oh my God.
Comics 58, which I believe is the inspiration
Yes.
to the Dave Stevens Planet Comics. I think the similar composition with the woman riding this little space rocket thing. I
Right.
think this has a shot at an 8.0.
Yeah, it
So
was a
really,
7.0 graded when you picked it up. And like I
yeah,
couldn't believe the
there was
price that you got it at.
there's a slight spine roll, or there was, and there's a very, very light reader's crease because of the spine roll, which I think I got most of it out today. So I'm going to send this in to grade and see what I get. Then I'll decide if I keep it or not. But yeah, a pair of planets. And then on Sunday, again, this was probably the find of the show. I'm walking around, telling vendors, great, great seeing you guys. I'll see you guys next year or at a Sooner show. And or at DT Comics, I'm talking to Brian, and he just grabs a couple of books off the wall and he says, "Hey, just see these?" And
Because he
I was
knows you like
flabbergasted.
pre-code horror, right?
Yeah, so they're pre-code horror, and it's a good technique, I think, because Bob Storms did this, and the next book was a Bob Storms book. They know what you buy, and they know you're probably going to want to look at these books up close. So yeah,
Right.
Brian just grabbed them, and to my shock, I was like, hell yeah, I'll buy these. So two Spellbound. This is 14. This is a great classic Bill Everett cover, and the other one is Spellbound 17, the Macaulay Culkin cover, and this is another Bill Everett. So both of these books
Awesome.
are highly sought after Spellbounds, and both Everett covers, and they were way underpriced. I mean, they were probably the two wins of the show. I would say they're probably roughly half of what they should be priced at, because I don't think the guys at DT really are that deep into the pre-code stuff. So they were priced at GPA, but they're so rare that when they do come on the market, they usually command a premium. So
Yeah.
I snatched those up. And then back over at Bob Storm's booth, he saw me walk over and he grabbed this book on the wall and he goes, "Here." So I couldn't pass up this Vault of Horror. This is Vault 30, the
Was it the
classic
severed arm?
dismembered.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you've ever read this story, what it is a bunch of med school students are playing practical jokes, and they would travel around New York City, and they would leave body parts on the subway just as gags. So this was just an arm they stuck on the subway car as a
Oh my
practical
God.
joke. And so yeah, Bob showed me that. I'm like, yeah, Bob, I'll buy that because that'll go great with this copy. So on the first day, on Friday, I grabbed this from Alex Reese at the Reese Brothers booth.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how hard it is to find this. So I grabbed it, but Bob showed me a copy he had on Sunday. And I'm like, sure, why not? I'll get two of them. And then the very last one, this was a pickup for a buddy of mine. Been looking for this for a long time. And I see this once in a while. So I saw the guy that had those high grade showcase books where you got your Adam from. He had this Famous Monsters of Filmland #1. Mike Carbonero had a copy for 4,000. I picked this up for $350. So
Wow.
it's probably about like a 4.45. It's got a pretty good reader's crease right here along the spine,
Right.
but it's really otherwise solid, no missing pieces. It's a scarce magazine, and my buddy owes me some money, so I'll just put it on your tab, and you owe me some more when we get back home. I couldn't pass it
Nice.
up for $350.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah,
no, I
that
mean,
was
not
that
not
was
not
it.
compared to 4,000. I can't even imagine what the pedigree
No,
is on
yeah.
Mike Carbo's book. I mean, maybe it was owned by Frankenstein himself.
Yeah, no, it's one of those books that can command a premium in the right grade, but usually it's under 1,000. Mid grade is right around $1,000, and so I
Right.
told my buddy, I said it's not the best copy I've seen in the last year, but you'll have to wait another 6 months to find one better, and
But it
then
doesn't suck.
negotiate the price. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was it. That pretty much, that last closing few hours,
Oh
once I
yeah.
got revitalized with a little bit of cash infusion from Rob at Moving Pictures, I quickly spent that money on a couple of the great wins. That Silver Surfer 4, the Monsters, and then those two Spellbounds I picked up at probably the last hour before I left on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, that was my biggest, like I really was gonna go after this Strange Tales 110 that was water damaged, staple rust, right? But it had a lot of capability for improvement. And I
Mm,
thought, it had a shot at, at a good return, once I could clean up the rust as much as I can, right? And get it fixed up. The problem is like, like the guy just would not budge on the price, right? It was just
yeah.
he wanted 1,000 for it. I wanted 850. He wanted 9. I wasn't gonna do it. I was just, and then like the last time I looked it over, like, like I noticed that the paper around the staple right on the cover was very deteriorated and it had popped
Mm,
off from handling
oh.
earlier in the day. And I was like, nah, all right, I'm done. Yeah, I just like I don't think it really would have affected the grade that much considering the rest of the damage to the book, but I just, there was color loss on the front cover, and I'm like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
this is just looking like, more and more like something I don't want to do. So yeah, so
Yeah.
I just, stock stuff the cash and walked away.
Mm,
Which you got to do sometime, right? You got to walk away from the ones that
yeah.
you're just kind of iffy about. Because I saw
Yeah.
that book on Friday and I kept going back every day and he was still wouldn't go, he wouldn't budge.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, most shows, I don't know, probably since the pandemic, I have not seen any appreciable good deals. You got to work every angle. Think about potential for cleaning, pressing, regrading, whatever you can do, because the discounts that they used to have 20, even 30%. I used to go to Baltimore before the pandemic, and certain vendors, I'd get 30% off. I'd spend a couple $1,000 and I'd get 30%. Yeah, those days seem to be gone,
Yeah, they're
and
pretty tight.
you got to use every trick you can to try to get a good deal. The alternative is just to wait it out on eBay until you bid on something and get a good price. Um, but yeah, it's good. Heroes has a good selection of books, so you can work the room and find a couple of different alternatives and get a good price or a reasonable price for them at least versus
Absolutely.
other things.
So yeah, so I'm definitely all in for next year, right?
Mhm.
Definitely gonna make the pilgrimage again. My wife enjoyed Charlotte, so yeah, and like this time I think we'll take a couple extra days of it to try to get some
Yeah.
more, of the more of the local experience in there. Like we went to brunch, on Sunday at a great place. I mean we had great time with you, at Fahrenheit, and just kind of hanging out at
Yep.
some of the bars and just relaxing. So yeah, I mean, really had a good time. So
Yeah, I mean,
looking
I've
forward again.
gone, well, probably about a dozen times, and this is the most I've ever gone out in Charlotte. Like I said, I go down there and, everyone's like going back to the hotel room after the show. I'm going to stay in, or I'm only here for one day. I take off. But, I got to go out a couple of times with you and your wife, which is a record for me. I'd go out every day. I would be out every single night because there's a ton of great places in Charlotte. But,
Yeah,
it's just the culture. A lot of the guys that I know, the collectors, they're just in and out. They don't want to, do much after the show, or they're just wiped out, or they're just there for a day. But yeah, there's a lot of great restaurants just right around the corner, down the street.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
you know, it's a
Yeah, there's
fantastic. I
a
mean, I was,
whole alley with like margarita places, like
yeah, yeah.
off of this
That's
thing.
where Patrick,
We
yeah,
never made it out to. Yeah,
that's where Patrick got food poisoning the one year I went down with him.
bet you don't
I
get
didn't
food
go.
poisoning on margaritas.
I went. I didn't. I still want to go check out Valhalla. That themed pub up by Mellow Mushroom. Um,
Yeah, we'll have to
I
check that out
was
next time.
I was coming out of the hotel Friday, the Westin, and I told you this story. Elevator was pretty crowded, and a lot of artists stay at the Westin Hotel. So we're coming down the elevator, and everyone's looking at their shoes, and somebody behind me says, "Hey, that's a nice looking Mary Jane shirt." And I look up, and it's Walter Simonson. So I was chatting with Walter and Louise. They were there. I met them many times. They live pretty close to me up here in New York, but we were chatting. He just had some eye surgery, and he said it was his first show after a little break. And the next day, I come out of the hotel and I see Keith Williams' wife, Mayette, who I've known for a while, and so we walked over to Amelay's, the French
Yeah,
bakery restaurant there. So
yeah, we
we
stopped there
grabbed
for
some
breakfast on
breakfast, and
Saturday.
I said, because she was getting stuff for Keith to take in, and I said, let me give you a hand. So we walked in, bringing over a bunch of stuff to Keith. But yeah, there's artists and guests everywhere. I mean, you got your story on the plane.
Oh my god,
Uh,
yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I had
yeah,
my I was supposed to fly from New York for work to Chicago, and then the next morning, my wife and I were flying from Chicago to Charlotte. But they canceled my flight Wednesday for weather, and I got stuck in New York. When the with the Knicks winning, game 5 or game 4 or something like that, and so I wind up having to come back and like do this whole rearrangement. I go to I booked my flight. I was supposed to leave at 8 a.m. the next or 9 a.m. the next morning. I didn't get back to my hotel until 2:30 that morning, right? I overslept my alarm. I had to reschedule my flight again for like 4 o'clock. And I'm walking on the plane at 4 o'clock, and there's a guy sitting in first class with what was it? Oh my god, Joe Kubert School of Art, ball cap on, and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "Nice cap." I said, "You going to Heroes?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Do I know you?" And I was like, "No." I said, introduce myself, and he goes, "Oh, Klaus," and I go, "Jansen?" He goes,
yeah,
"Speaking." Like,
yeah,
it's just I'm like, yeah, just the people you run into just randomly on a plane, Klaus Jansen.
yeah. Yeah, like I said, if you're flying to Heroes Con, chances are half the plane is either comic fans or comic guests.
Yeah,
You know,
like
that's a major.
I was walking through the terminal after I got off the plane. I think I walked past Larry Hama. You know,
Yeah, yeah, I saw him a few times. I was just talking to him for my show recently,
yeah, because he's
that I
going to be a
generally
guest
always.
at your show in a couple of
Well,
weeks.
yeah, no, no, he's got like GI Joe Con to go to because we got that exclusive
Oh,
comic, GI Joe comic that I'm doing, and he declined. He's like, I got to do. There's some GI Joe convention thing, and he's got another show
oh,
back to
that
back. So he's like,
sucks.
I'm
Well, at
screwed.
least you got the exclusive.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, there's so many artists there. It's kind of fun just to walk around and bump into them here and there. And sometimes you're out, depends what restaurant you're at. There's usually a couple of those out guys out having drinks and dinner. But yeah, yeah, it's definitely, I mean, like I said, it's a high signal to noise ratio show. If you want to look for any comics or just, rummage through boxes, finding good deals, there's more than enough wealth for everybody to go around.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't feel like I have to rush in and buy all the big books on day one. They're there all weekend long.
they really are.
Plenty to
Yeah, because the
share.
volume is just so high.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got something coming up, right? You want to let everybody know about your show in Rochester?
Yeah, yeah. So if you guys haven't dozed off yet, so my 2-day comic exclusive only show is coming up July 10th and 11th. It was inspired by Heroes Con, but also more recently shows like Little Giant, Big Apple. This is my 8th show, so we have 34 comic dealers, half a dozen artists. It's a free show up here in Rochester, New York. It's called the Empire Comic Fest. You can go to the website empirecomicfest.com. We're also on social media, uh, Facebook, Instagram, under Empire Comic Fest. We have a bunch of stuff planned this year. Like always, we have the Kirby Museum coming in. I got a special collaboration going on. We're going to have a special Steve Ditko art exhibit along with Jack Kirby. I don't think there's any place on the planet that has both of those in one under one roof. And Dan Fogel is going to launch his new underground price guide. After years and years of working on that, he's finally got that complete. So he wants to launch that at my show. But it's 2 days, free admission, and wall-to-wall comic vendors. I try to keep all of the other fluff to a minimum. But yeah, check it out. Go to the website empire.comicfest.com.
Excellent. All right. Well, it's about time for us. We've gone over what we had planned, but yeah, had a great time. Bought a lot of great things. Brought home a lot of great things, and great hanging out with you again at the show, and
Yep.
kicking through and having a lot of fun. So we'll say
Looking
goodbye.
forward to the
And
next. Looking forward to the next 20 of them.
yeah, absolutely. So we'll say goodbye and stay classy, YouTube.
Yep. See you guys. Bye.